Hello, YouTuberizers. It's a short talk at the trailer park with the old guy. I'm out in front of my little blown-up trailer, and I finally brought my little stand out so I can talk properly with both hands. Because in other words, lots of times you'll be watching videos, or at least I've watched my own. There's one viewer, and it's kind of framed here, and you can't see that I'm emphasizing my syllables with hand gestures. You know what I mean? Well, I don't have to talk like that all the time, but I do enjoy using my hands to talk. And I thought I might like to use them, a little bit here for today's vid. So I was thinking about a topic the last couple of days. And, looking at all the crazy news, right now it's coming out big time over in Britain. The Lancet pulled a headliner article. What's happening is the autopsies are beginning to show the actual numbers and the actual damages because the insurance companies already know the reality of what's happened. Statistically, insurance companies, especially these group health policies, are just getting nailed. I mean, some of these companies are probably going to have to go out of business. That's not how you make money in insurance, to have what they call a black swan event, like cubed or to the power of 10. I mean, their numbers are like 4,000 and 5,000% higher than it should be in some areas. It's terrible. It's a mess. I feel bad for it. A lot of people are going to lose family members for sure, and unexplained ailments all of a sudden appearing out of nowhere that are debilitating. The people behind this, I mean, this is just plain evil. It is. Well, anyway, the autopsy and everything, it's funny how, did you ever notice all the way through? Even, I remember now, this was in the hot and heavy days about this time of year in 2020. And so I remember hearing about it. The problem is, this is all third, fourth hand information. I don't know if this is true. But I was hearing reports that things like someone got in a motorcycle accident, got hit by a truck, died. When they tested him back at the hospital, they found he was positive with you know what. And so they listed it as one of those in the official columns. To this day, the CDC has never yet admitted even one death directly due to this vaccine. And have you noticed the remarkable lack of pathological work? Where are the autopsies? That could settle it right there. They've dodged that, and they've kind of said, hey, look, over there, there's Elvis. Actually, that's my neighbor, and he's talking on the phone. No, that's a woman looking for a cat. Thought that was a guy. Anyway, it's still cool enough out here to sit outdoors and chit-chat with you, and I was thinking there's a topic that's been kind of coming back to me. Now, you need to go back. Greg Braden's an interesting guy, and he's got so much information out there, and I really enjoy his talks. I don't know that he's a Christian or anything, but that to me doesn't really matter, because a lot of his topics are about the engineering of ourselves as just supremely wonderfully made creatures that we don't know we don't know a fifth of our own possibility, what we are capable of, just as we are, without any modifications by you know what. Anyway, what he's saying is, yeah, and I was trapped in this when I was a boy. If you can think about polarity, okay, now don't get too carried away, because nobody's a pure type. In other words, it's like that introvert-extrovert spectrum. Everybody's a little of both, and it depends on the situation, too. Anyway, on the right side, that's where my right hand is touching my right head. Looks like my left in this picture, but I think it'll flip when I show it somehow. I don't know why. But apparently, I've got my left hand on my head. That's not true. At any rate, over here, it's going to have to make sense. It's going to have to line up 1, 2, 3. This is where algebra comes in eventually. But basically, add, subtract, multiply, divide. A always is followed by B. It's at C. There are orderly routines, and there's routes that can be remembered. This is how we got there from here. That's on this side. Over here is a different picture. On this side, the way we see, and sometimes it helps if you just close this eye. How do I see from this side? Answer that question. Well, it's kind of like I step back. I look at the big picture. I look at the trends, the smell test. What kind of aroma is this? And frankly, an awful lot of this piss pot, this current stuff, smells of hell. In other words, there's that whiff of the enemy, the nameless one, that nobody downstairs. The guy that never causes any problem. Who brought on this stupid war in Ukraine? Nobody. And his legions. Well, anyway, they're being loosed in Earth, and more so than they were. And this is, prophesied in the Bible somewhere, having to do with the end of the world. So it could be a very convincing sign. I take it so. Anyway, by the way, Club soda is the thing to do on a cold morning. You just stick this thing in the fridge for about 2 hours, or even in the freezer for about 20 minutes. Boom. You got cold, bubbly water. And on a day like that, I just mowed my little quasi-lawn over there. Right now I'm watering, so I'm probably going to disappear for a little while. I've just got a little simple set sprinkler set up where you just move it around. Just drag it wherever you want it. I'm going to water the grass a little bit. I came out and cut it earlier. I find that strangely satisfying somehow. I think that's part of why people keep grass, is to be able to level it. I don't know why that's significant. And especially, people admire this. A well-mowed yard. Have you ever seen the way they do professional baseball fields out in the outfield? It's amazing. I mean, it's like geometry or something. Anyway, the thing I've been thinking about with all this craziness coming on, and they're talking about this digital credit thing where, like in China, these videos right here can be used against me, and they probably will be, to essentially shut down my access to my own money. In other words, they're not going to have a cash option, or that's their plan, but they never remember to include barter. Even in the darkest days of the old Soviet Union, in downtown Moscow, you could get anything you wanted. There was no shortages in Moscow. You just had to pay the underground black market price. And you'd step to the head of the line, pick up whatever you want at outrageous costs in rubles. But for people who were moving major amounts of drugs and stuff, that didn't matter. I mean, they had all kinds of money. But anyway, the point is, things are going to get weird. And the thing that impresses upon me is this teaching of Greg Braden. See, I was trapped up here, right or left. Right? Is it going to be an intuitive thing, or is it going to be a look hard and do it the logic way thing? Something you can remember and made sense. But what do you mean by make sense? So in other words, I could easily have discussions up here where I can never really agree on one set opinion. So what's my answer? Both and neither, in a jumbled way. Depends on coincidence. Depends on circumstance. That ain't any way to live. Anyway, Greg says down here, if he claims this is true, and maybe it wasn't Greg. Someone told me this. If you'll ask small children, before they've been taught to read or write, maybe what we'd call toddlers, so 2 or 3 year olds, ask them, where are you? And many of them supposedly will go, I'm right here. What? They're pointing at their heart. And essentially, that is the center. There's tissue in there, in your body, in your heart, of the same kind that's in your brain. The difference is it's not polarized. So you don't have this either or ambition. So Jesus our Lord says, whatever you speak, the words that you're saying, they reveal your heart. It is from the heart that your words proceed. And so the heart is essentially a modulator. There's actually 3 centers. The locus is about here. In other words, it's a non-local union. You have 3 essentially persons vying for which is the real me. The real me? No, the real me is all 3. There's not 3 of me, there's only 1. Hey, wait a minute. Who does that remind you of? And I thought, built in at the very center of us, for years and years and years, I've looked into the Westminster Standards and am somewhat familiar with Reformed teaching, Christian Presbyterian teaching, and I appreciate the many strong points, but the issue of how so is it that man was made in imageo, in the image of God? What do you mean by that? In the image, and I can't remember exactly, but it's something like this: in righteousness, justice, and holiness, or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up. But in other words, they've got an entire different viewpoint. In other words, they're saying that it had something to do with an outward standard to which man was to reflect. So God is the just one, so man is to also reflect justice. I think that's what they're saying. That may be true, right? And I'm not opposed to the idea, but I don't think that even touches the idea. In other words, you as a human being, I don't care whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, I don't care how tall you are, whether you're black, white, or blue, I don't care. Hey, even red, white, and blue, those people can come in too. I like MAGA people, heck, why not? They're good folk, but I'm not one of them. But that's okay. I think we're on the same side. At least I hope we're not enemies. Because we have so many things in common. We want decency. We want reliability. We want truth. Well, where's that coming from? Over here, me. Well, who's me? 1, 2, 3. The 3 are 1. The 1 is 3. I'm only one man. But in other words, inside Christian teaching, where's this doctrine? Why have we missed it? We don't remember our true selves. We can't recall that it's not that unusual to be at a difference of opinion. You know, I used to have this running little joke I used to do for years, and I'll try to play it out here. I hope I don't forget it or botch it up too bad. But it's kind of like, has to do with this like idea of an inner conversation, this constant chattering inside my head. I think you have it. I do. And we can tell by how much I verbalize. There's an awful lot of brain racket going on up there, right? At least a bright boy ought to be able to see that. So in other words, what we're talking about is way too many words. Why? Because the two sides don't agree. And so they're attempting a mass union idea. Can we compare anywhere where we agree? Let's make peace. But see, that's a new thing. But it's a very complicated process because, let's face it, men and women are different. And you know, there's a sense in me in which you would have to say at least something in me is feminine. And I thank God for it. I think I got that from Mom. I mean, I don't know what the other source would have been. But the point is that we're marvelously made and fashioned in His hand. And so the image which is you, is in you, we can use in our daily lives to cope with stress and problems and lies. And they're circulating this poison and calling it a magic needle. And to this day, they refuse autopsies to be done as much as they can, even when the family requests it, to know what caused this onset suddenly. Let's look at their dead body and see. We're not going to go there. We don't need to do that anymore. Why? Because we got bureaucrats in Brussels who know how to do that stuff for you, and they can do it long distance for free. Progress. No, that's not what happened. What happened was the same kind of people who kept saying, follow the science, follow the science, follow the science. All of a sudden, when the science kicks them in the ass, well, hey, look, there goes Elvis. You see him over there? The guy with the silver hair and stuff? He has aged. They're talking about me. I tell people I got this Elvis impersonation. I got a guy down at the plumbing warehouse. He actually requests that I do this, okay? So this may be my sole claim to fame. You know, you've probably seen Andy Kaufman do his Elvis impersonation, and Andy's actually pretty good. Mine's probably not better, but it's an entirely different. Here, my imitation of Elvis. Dead ringer. Watch. Keyword dead. Anyway, it wasn't much, okay? It didn't take a whole lot to figure that out. But in other words, for some people, it's amusing in a way. Hey, you know what? I think I'm sagging, as it were. Probably a little more information. Okay, this crazy little holder, I can see it. This is one of the reasons I don't like it. You set it where it wants now, it's already starting to learn. So it appears like you're going to be getting seasick. Why is that guy leaning over? He's not that much. Camera's actually pretty stable, but it's off about 4 degrees. I'm going to leave it. Anyway, this thing seems so basic to my understanding these days. And it's really helped me transition. In other words, you hear all around the world, people are waking up. Now, some of them are being stirred awake, I hope, as Christians, to become more integrated in the system, to fight these bastards and to roll them back. The king hasn't stopped taking territory. The king is expecting us to hold our turf and to continue to expand. This is his world, and he's coming in person to stake his claim. There's going to be no opposition at that point. I say there's no opposition now. We should be reckless in doing love and kindness and deeds of renown to bring glory to the Savior and hopefully draw his children in. Time is running short. The door is closing. There will come a day when the Spirit is lifted off, and then you'll see what man and devil together can do to, so to speak, govern themselves. It will be horrible. And in fact, so bad, the Lord Jesus says that if the Father himself had not shortened those days, no flesh would have survived. I mean, it's going to be heinous. Guess what? He's calling you into that. No, this rapture thing ain't your way out, Bubba. No, what that does is that just finally kills the heart. There's an apostasy brewing in the church today, and it will culminate at a certain point. Don't you be on the wrong side of that. It has to do with covenant sacrifice. And I'm not going to go into it again because there's video out there that talks about this. You know what I'm talking about. When that day comes, that dark day, when the church even won't raise even a mild objection to bloody sacrifice being done in Jerusalem in the name of so-called the God who is, was, and ever always shall be, Yahweh, as if that's going to somehow please, or even worse yet, some kind of mockery dedicated to a new God whom our fathers knew not. That cannot be a good day. If the church can't stand up at that point and say, bullshit. I call bullshit. We declare the curse of the living God on all who follow that way. Come out of that, my brother, before it's too late. Come out of her. Babylon must fall, and she'll be destroyed in a day. The merchants shall whimper. Too bad. Here's the deal. When he comes, every knee bends. Doesn't matter whether you like it. It's just better for you now if you'll bend it voluntarily here, because if you don't, at that point, it'll just get broken. Can't be. Forever. In other words, you're a forever creature. And he's pulling us out of this era, this time, of this realm. But guess what? He's going to burn the realm down. He's bringing us into a new realm, a new place of being. We'll be a little like, maybe we'll be like, those who can see. If you can imagine there being, grandstands and, viewing stands when the original creation occurred. Out of nothing, he spoke all into being, and right well. I mean, first try too, pretty good. And to imagine being able to witness that as he creates a new realm. Perhaps we shall. I don't know. But in other words, it's central to your well-being in this day. Think it over. It's central in your, it's okay to be at conflict. It's okay to be undecided. It's okay even to be afraid. But what you need to remember is that it is from your heart that you speak. And this is how I speak to you. That's why I wanted to use my hands. I open them to you from my heart. From my heart I speak to you. And I say you can have peace in this hour. Yes, with all the crazy going on, all that across the seas and in here too. Corrupted as corrupted can be. Lie upon lie, murder upon murder. They're going to keep racking them up. And the church just refuses to see. She keeps to her holy ghetto, and maybe she'll be safe if she keeps her head in the sand. It's never worked before. It's what they tried in Nazi Germany. There are even witnesses of it to this day that was a failed strategy. And she refuses to see. The apostasy is upon us in principle. It's up to you to roll that back and demand the orthodoxy of faith, the rule of faith, as Augustine called it. By golly, I've been wandering over there quite a while. I can't even see the clock. Oh, there it is. 17 minutes. Yeah, that's too much. I'll be right back. Okay, exciting news. I'm back. Well, maybe I should wrap this up, but I did want to mention, besides this 3-in-1, go look up Greg Braden. There was a video clip I saw in one of these London Real vids having to do with the past. This was about a year and a half ago, or up into probably a year to year and a half, 2 years. There was a huge push, cultural push, through the so-called media, those lying bastards, the pimps and whores who work for the government, who are themselves whores of the drug cartels. And the drug cartels are what? Whores of the Illuminati or something? I don't know. Anyway, it's not a good situation. But sitting there thinking about this, and I was watching this thing about in the past, and there's this, I like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies by and large. I mean, they're so stupidly ridiculous. You almost got to enjoy them. I mean, this guy can run through a hail of bullets, people firing at least 50 of them at him with automatic weapons. Not one of them can touch him, but every time he fires a single trigger, doesn't matter how far, the sucker falls, easy. Every time. First time, dead. Nobody's ever wounded from him, and nobody can hit him with a bullet. And this is supposed to be his self. Well, whatever. And it's entertaining to watch, but it's just like chewing gum for the brain. It just kind of keeps everything working. It's like there's no nutrition to it. But anyway, he was saying something about urging in public. He was caught on videotape, and I don't think it was taken out of context. He was talking about how necessary, vitally necessary it is for you to put toxic, poison, experimental medicine crap by which certain companies are profiting multi-billions of dollars and are utterly bulletproof, can't be touched by a lawsuit for damages, nothing. And he's advocating for those bastards. And he's saying that these are the schmucks. And he was, I can't remember what he was recommending, something like, let's all throw them in the ocean or something. I don't know. It was very hateful speech. And I can't remember what he said, so that's maybe not the best quote in the world. But all I remember was schmucks. And I thought to myself, hey, you want to see a schmuck? Turn in the mirror, buddy. You're on the wrong side. You're on the wrong side of history. You're on the wrong side of truth. You're on the wrong side of courage. You who would pretend to be some courageous hero, you gutless. Little girl's got more than you. Anyhow, I'm done watching his movies. I hope you are too. Have a good day. He wins, the Savior, every time. Let him win today in your heart. Ask him on in. Come on, he hears, trust me. And when he comes in, yes, he does make all things new, but it's a renewal day by day. His mercies are new every morning, and we rise to greet him and to stretch out and absorb all the good stuff, just like the little plants. They're receiving all that sunlight and water even as we speak. So grow up strong and bear fruit, and know that this is the path you were called to. It was just here that you were meant to be. And guess what? Here we are. You guys have a good day. God bless.